In the deep hollows of the Appalachian Mountains, in the years before hospitals reached the isolated communities, women gave birth at home, attended by other women who had learned the craft from their own mothers and grandmothers. These attendants were called granny women, and they delivered nearly every baby born in the mountains for generations. They possessed a body of practical knowledge about pregnancy, labor, delivery, and postpartum care that had been refined across centuries of European folk tradition and further adapted to the Appalachian region. When there was no doctor within a day's ride, when the roads were snowed shut, the granny woman came. And in the overwhelming majority of cases, mother and baby came through fine. Here is what modern medical history rarely says clearly. The granny women were not amateurs. They were skilled practitioners with real training, admittedly informal and apprenticeship-based, and they operated within a knowledge tradition that predated modern obstetrics by centuries. The mountain communities depended on them, respected them, and paid them what could be paid. Before we start, hit subscribe, because this is medical history that deserves to be remembered with real respect. Let us count them down. And of course, this is history, not medical advice. Number 25. Learning from the older woman. The granny woman began her training as a young woman assisting an older practitioner, watching, helping, gradually taking on more responsibility until she was ready to attend a delivery herself. This apprenticeship might last many years, and the knowledge was transferred entirely through direct hands-on teaching. Number 24. Knowing the woman before the birth. The granny woman knew every woman in her community, followed her pregnancies from the early months, visited regularly, and understood the specific circumstances of each family. This continuity of care meant she arrived at the birth already familiar with the mother's history and constitution. Number 23. Preparing the room. When labor started, the granny woman prepared the room, laying clean cloths on the bed, boiling water, gathering the tools she would need. The setup was careful and deliberate, and it reflected knowledge of basic sanitation that predated germ theory. Number 22. Boiling water and clean cloths. The boiling water served multiple purposes, sterilizing scissors and other tools, making tea for the mother, and providing warm cloth for cleaning the baby after birth. The clean cloths, boiled and dried in the sun, were the granny woman's basic supply. Number 21. Keeping the mother calm. Much of the granny woman's craft was in her presence and her voice. She kept the mother calm through the long hours of labor, spoke steadily, provided encouragement, and did not panic when things got difficult. Her calm was itself a form of medicine. Number 20. Reading the progress of labor. The granny woman knew how to read the stages of labor by watching the mother, and she knew when things were proceeding normally and when they were not. This clinical judgment came from experience with many births. Number 19. Positioning the mother for comfort and progress. The granny woman helped the mother into positions that made labor easier, walking, squatting, leaning on a chair, or a helper. Modern obstetrics has slowly rediscovered many of the positions traditional midwives always knew were helpful. Number 18. Herbal teas for support. Certain herbal teas were used to support the mother through labor: red raspberry leaf during pregnancy, chamomile for calming, ginger for nausea. The teas were mild, safe, and provided comfort as much as any pharmacological effect. Number 17. Knowing when to send for help. The granny woman knew what she could handle and what required more help, and when a birth was going badly, she sent for the nearest doctor if one could be reached. Recognizing the limits of her craft was itself an important part of her skill. Number 16. Managing the actual delivery. When the moment came, the granny woman guided the delivery, catching the baby, cutting the cord with a boiled string tie, and clearing the baby's mouth. Her hands did the work that had been done by countless mothers and grandmothers before her. Number 15. The first breath and the newborn care. The granny woman made sure the baby was breathing, cleaned it gently, wrapped it warm, and placed it with the mother. Her attention to the newborn was as careful as her attention to the mother, and she stayed with them both for hours or days after the birth. Number 14. Delivering the afterbirth. The delivery of the placenta was managed carefully, and the granny woman knew the signs that suggested trouble. Retained placenta was a known danger, and she watched for it, waited patiently, and knew what to do if things did not proceed normally. Number 13. Nursing support. The granny woman helped the mother begin nursing, showed her how to latch the baby, and gave her the confidence and practical knowledge to feed her child. Modern nursing support has rediscovered how important this early guidance is, and the granny women had known it forever. Number 12. Postpartum care of the mother. For days and sometimes weeks after the birth, the granny woman continued to visit, checking on the mother, watching for infection or hemorrhage, helping with the household when the woman needed to rest. Her ongoing presence was part of what made her care so effective. Number 11. Herbal remedies for common postpartum issues. Various herbal teas and simple remedies were used to help the mother heal, to support milk production, and to address the common issues of the postpartum weeks. The remedies were mild, tested, and part of the tradition passed down among women. Number 10. Attending the sick and dying beyond birth. Many granny women also served their communities as general healers, attending the sick, dressing wounds, sitting with the dying, and providing the closest thing the community had to a resident nurse. Their role went far beyond childbirth. Number 9. Herbal knowledge broadly. Beyond specific birth-related remedies, the granny woman knew the medicinal plants of her mountains, when to gather them, how to prepare them, and what conditions they treated. This knowledge served the whole community. Number 8. Respecting the family's traditions. The granny woman worked within the family's own traditions, respecting their religious practices, their preferences for how the birth was handled, and their expectations of privacy and discretion. She was not imposing an outside medical system, but working within the community's own culture. Number 7. Payment in kind. The granny woman was often paid in eggs, chickens, produce, or promises of help rather than cash. She was not becoming wealthy through her work, and the barter system meant her services were available to families who had no money at all. Number 6. Her status in the community. The granny woman was respected, sometimes revered, in the community she served. She had brought many of the residents into the world, and her role was seen as sacred as well as practical. Number 5. The knowledge passed down. Every granny woman had trained younger women who would eventually take her place. When the tradition broke down, as it eventually did in most places, the loss was often sudden and complete. Number 4. Community memory and shared wisdom. The knowledge did not live only in individual granny women. The whole community of experienced mothers shared parts of it, and information about specific women's histories, family patterns, and effective approaches was community knowledge as much as specialist knowledge. Number 3. The trust that made it all work. Above all, the system worked because the community trusted the granny women, and the granny women trusted their tradition. That trust was built over generations of good outcomes, and it made it possible to give birth at home with confidence. Number 2. The knowledge nearly lost. The rise of hospital birth in the middle of the 20th century, combined with medical licensing laws that made lay midwifery illegal in most states, nearly wiped out the granny woman tradition. Some knowledge survives in the modern midwifery revival, but much has been lost. Number 1. Delivering babies when no doctor would come. Above all, the granny women delivered babies safely into families who had no other option. In hollow after hollow, generation after generation, they were the difference between mother and baby coming through and not. Their achievement, sustained across centuries with almost no formal recognition, deserves to be honored. The forgetting came with the spread of hospitals and the criminalization of lay midwifery. The tradition was declared unsafe and unprofessional, and within a generation the granny women were nearly all gone. Modern midwifery is recovering some of what was lost, but the deep community tradition that made the granny woman possible is largely gone. Here is your challenge. Read one book on Appalachian midwifery. Learn about the modern midwifery movement in your area. Understand what community-based care looks like. Tell me in the comments if your family had a granny woman in the tree, because somebody may have carried on this tradition. That knowledge did not die. It just went quiet. It is time to start listening again.